Welcome, everyone, to Enlightened Masculinity Podcast. This episode is being streamed to the IMC TV YouTube channel. So everybody watching the recordings, you can go to the YouTube IMC TV and catch me, as well as like 14 or 15 other show hosts. These are guys that are in IMC Nation, which is a worldwide movement. You can look it up on TikTok, on Instagram, hashtag IMC Nation. You'll see a lot of the people that contribute and a lot of the views. How many views? You know, it's a big movement. It keeps growing. And today, if you don't know who I am, I mean, maybe this is your first episode. I'm Yogi Chris, PhD, founder of Ninth Live Yoga, captain of IMC Nation, which is the highest rank at IMC. I live with the founder here at what's called IMC Base 1 in San Jose, California. There's 5 bases currently worldwide and growing. For example, my 2 guests today, RyanG from Netherlands and Dr. Skriptz from India, who's looking to possibly relocate to Netherlands. And there's some other guys in that region of Europe looking to form our first European base. It's going to be between them and the United Kingdom people. There's a race. Anyway, in my mind, there is. So, you know, life changes when you get in a base. And I'm sure I'll talk more about that. Plus, I've said that so many times before. So the recordings on this show surprisingly get a bunch of views. So you can look them up on any podcast app, Apple, Spotify, Podbean, all the regulars, Amazon, and Enlightened Masculinity is there. So you can see lots of past interviews with lots of guys. Most recently, last week, we did Najim. Before that, we did Powerhouse. At some point in the show, I may like mute myself to go blow my nose. So that's just what that is. You know, little flu, doesn't matter. And so that's basically the premise of the show. I'll be talking with these guys, Skriptz and RyanG. They have a show on IMC TV. What's the name of your show, if you'd remind me?
Savage Shaman Seminars.
Savage Shaman Seminars. How'd you come up with that name?
That's Skriptz. How did you come up with that name, man?
Yeah, we were thinking about the idea of how the shaman is the man who knows, and then the savage is the one without fear. So we were really looking more archetypically towards kind of expanding a certain archetype within IMC Nation. So we were exploring that, as well as the alliteration's kind of dope.
I'm just curious. Yes, the alliteration is dope. And I'm also curious, is that fun for you to say archetypically?
Archetypically.
It just roll off the tongue, doesn't it?
Very
archetypically, yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Great word.
Yeah, it's an incredible word. Okay, cool. Well, so you guys have been having your show for a while. You've also been doing kind of esoteric, I don't know if you'd call it spiritual consultations, but like this esoteric realm of spirituality. Been doing a lot of consultations for a lot of guys. You built up a business. You have retreats even abroad. Like I think you're going to Costa Rica soon. So that's pretty dope. You're making a business for yourself out of it. And I'm sure you also have your regular job that you're unplugging from, you know, which it's probably not even that regular. I know RyanG, I think you're a data analyst. And so although that may seem mundane to some people, that's just like, that's your own world in there. That's like, man. And then Dr. Skriptz, positive behavior, I think, positive psychology, and, you know, basically the more scientific end of self-help, you could say, is my impression of it, like research, peer-reviewed publications, university studies, and things like that. Whereas self-help is not necessarily in universities that I'm aware of, but I'm sure it could be if we wanted it to. So that's where you guys are coming from. And I think India, is it like 2 a.m. there, Dr. Skriptz?
No, it's like 5 a.m., 5:40.
5 a.m. When's your normal wake up there in India?
Well, since I work late in the night, so it's usually like 8 or something. But I usually wake up way earlier than my wake up, like 7,
but your
6.
Like wake up time is 8, not late.
8:30, 8. Yeah.
8:30 or 8.
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay. So somewhere there, Najim's like, you gotta get your time locked down. Get that thing on lockdown. No wavering. You pick a time. It's constant, like the sun.
Yeah, ever since our Bali trip, it's been 8:30. Like that's just been the time that switched over since I was traveling during that time. But then that was the time that stuck over time. So I just kept it at that. Yeah.
Also, officially, I'd like to earn, I think I just earned a merit badge. The first time I've officially ever said nigga on my podcast. So I feel I have broken through my shell. Tattoo Addicts is proud of me. I can tell. He's like, yeah, that's my boy, Whitey. He's coming up. All right. And then RyanG, I think it's like
What's up?
9 hours ahead there. So is it like 2 a.m. there?
It is.
Dang. Are you normally up at this time, or did you just like, did you stay up, or did you wake up for the
No.
show?
I stayed awake.
Hey, commitment. You know, because I told Tony K, I was like, no wavering on the show. It's 5 p.m. I do not change the time. And so appreciate you accommodating, and you know, anything I can do to help you feel talkative at this, you know, late hour, you know, because I know sometimes it's difficult for me to articulate myself and be all enthusiastic. I'm sure you're a different character at 5 p.m. than you are at 2 a.m.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Yeah. So how's it like, man? How's the IMC? I haven't showed up to your show, and I don't know how much in your show. Here, I'll ask the question. How much in your Savage Shaman, there was a third word, alliteration.
Savage Shaman Seminars.
No. Your SSS, your triple S, sounds satanic, actually.
So be it.
6 starts with S also. I see what you did there. Okay. That would be cool if you somehow made your logo Savage Shaman Seminars, but somehow the S was like drawn like, anyway, like a 6 or something. So how much do you talk about IMC in your IMC TV shows versus all the other things you do?
Well, when it comes to the IMC specific TV show, it's all the fucking time. Always give credit to where credit is due. Every time we talk about the beast or anything to do with the beast, we credit IMC Nation. Without IMC Nation, there would be no Primal Sutra. There would be no Savage Shaman Seminars.
How is that possible? How is it that there would be no Primal Sutra? Primal Sutra, I believe, is your business name. Like that's maybe the LLC. Primal Sutra, that's like your brand. That's what you offer in these retreats and everything. How is it that Primal Sutra wouldn't exist without IMC?
Remember, like way back in the day, ACD made a great comment that just inspired the fuck out of me.
Dang.
He said something along the lines of, when I gave things for paid content, I was still earning good money. But give things away for free, that's when I became rich. And I was like, fuck it, that's what I'm going to roll with. So I started different businesses, tried different things, created my own online dating system called Matches in the Dates, partnered up from there with Dr. Skriptz to expand on it. We figured out that the customer lifetime value of Matches in the Dates is very low. Then we started delving into the occult, spirituality, and magic, with a heavy focus on how to improve the beast from the esoteric, with a heavy focus on health.
And this is before we move further, just for the audience, especially for the people in recording, because everybody live right now is aware. But when you say the perspective of the beast and the fact that we just said 666 and all that stuff, like what do you mean by the esoteric, you know, contributions to the beast?
Imagine if you had a team behind you that can be split around multiple dimensions and you don't even know it. Imagine if you had characters like the Godfather from The Godfather, or Spartacus, or any one of the great men from history backing you, defending you, trying to coach you. Imagine you've had different versions of ACDs across time, wanting to guide you into the being that you want to be, deserve to be, also known as the higher self. That is what Primal Sutra stands for. And that's how I came up with the quote. You don't know who is backing you. And one of our projects that Dr. Skriptz and I do is to figure that out for ourselves so that we can provide those that are interested.
To figure out what is guiding you? Or who's in the background behind you coaching you? Am I understanding?
Yes.
What have you discovered so far? What have you discovered? Who's in your background?
Well,
if you're really sure, maybe they're secret.
Oh, hey, listen, I have nothing to hide besides my bank account number, etc. So, for obvious reasons, I'll start with this one. we do channeling. We practice channeling. It is the willingness to give your body to a spirit so that the spirit can teach you whatever it needs to. One of the more intense channeling was with the Indian god of water, also the former god king of India, Varuna or Varuna. During the channeling, he decided to adopt me, which means I am under his tutelage. During the channeling, he told me that I was murdered in the womb of my mother by black magic from one of my uncles. And I found out who it was. And it was commanded that I do nothing and let karma take its toll. From there, I was guided even further to make friends beyond those deities that are connected to my chakras. That's how I befriended Donar, who is basically Dutch Thor.
The Dutch Thor.
And when
So you got
even
the
further
Dutch Thor in
to,
your corner? Oh, sorry, you're fragmenting.
I do.
Nice.
Sorry, I'm in the middle of Denmark as well, so for business travels.
Oh, you're
Anyway,
traveling. What are you traveling
yes.
for work or for Primal Sutras or for fun?
For work. For
Right
work.
on. Right on.
Well, we'll see what happens later tonight.
What do you mean?
I might get some goals, so if I'm trying to figure out if matching the dates works quickly in Denmark, let's fucking figure this shit out. But does my technology still apply efficiently in the middle of fucking nowhere? And can I get these girls to this hotel I'm at?
Yeah, that's
with my
interesting.
own bedroom.
I wonder if you
but
were like in a spaceship somewhere in the middle of the solar system, if your techniques would still work. Curious.
So that's just something I'm doing on the side as well.
Right
But
on.
anyway, to continue back on the original story, I desire to connect with higher beings so that they can guide me into a better life.
This must be difficult to work in data and analysis with this,
Oh, yeah.
with this personality in you, because you can't talk like this around those square bears. They would think you're possessed. You do?
I just do. It's come to the point where I figured out, since when does the beast care about the opinion of others? I'm only here to speak my truth. And if the client hires me, they can count on that I will speak truth about where we're headed with whatever product or whatever project.
So again, I want to get
is.
into this idea of the beast, because that's definitely going to come across very satanic. The way you're talking and the way you name it, the beast, the way the beast talks. And
this is my interpretation of the beast.
uh-huh.
If you want to talk about the esoteric meaning, it's basically the most, well, this is then my interpretation of it. What is your most purest expression of something primal, something buried so deep within you that you have no other choice but to express it? It's the same way I work out. It's the same way I fuck. It's the same way I grapple. I'm seeking that absolute form of expression where there's nothing but me and the act itself. That for me is the beast. Where there's no hesitation between one point and the next. It's like jazz. Even if you make a mistake, who gives a fuck? It's how you follow it up. It's the same thing with grappling. You fucked up, so what? Continue, figure it out. Same thing with dance. If you miss a step, just hit the fuck up, make a shimmy, fuck it, go ahead. It's not about the mistakes you make. No, it's about how you follow up. If let's say I'm a tiger and I jump my prey and I fuck up, I still have to kill it, because it would be a greater sin to the both of us if I do not finish the fucking job. Do you understand where I'm coming from?
Sort of.
Captain.
Yeah. I think I'm catching the words you're saying. Very cool. Let me hand it over to Dr. Skriptz. Dr. Skriptz, what is the collaboration between you and Ryan? Like, are you on the same beat, or is it something you do different and he does different, and then together you're like this more complete or what is it? What's your contribution to this Primal Sutra program that you do?
Yeah, great question, Yogi Chris. So
Thanks.
basically, from my angle, when I first started doing these basically consciousness raising experiments where I would kind of alter my state of mind and allow myself to channel, and actively kind of also backing it with science and all the different stuff and all the different mentors, of course, Jay Guru Dev, as we say in IMC Nation. So, and from that point, we started to understand that this needs to be structured in some way. and Ryan came along almost as, first of all, to check that I wasn't fucking up, because I had no idea what this process was about. I was actually pretty scared of it in the beginning, and I didn't know what was happening. And so I needed someone to confide in that moment. Ryan really helped me facilitate through the channeling sessions, where he would actually hold space for the being or the deity or the entity to come through. And each time we formed more of a connection with these beings through this whole process. And we have like a huge video vault full of like, probably 500 plus videos, right, Ryan? Like, we started a while back. It's been years now.
Yeah, I fucking lost count at this point, man. I had to like upgrade to like a few terabytes for all the fucking videos we have.
Cool.
And let's say this, like a lot of classic magicians would go for creating pacts with these beings, whereas my whole philosophy is, before we just start talking about contracts, can we be friends with these beings? Can we actually say that we have friends on the other side? And it's like with a lot of these, I can say, yeah.
Is it still in your guys' plan to base up?
Absolutely.
So I'm curious, do you think, do other people that would be basing with you, would you think that they kind of need to be either aware of all of the channeling practices that you do, and or practice themselves, and or participate with you? Do you think that would be a requirement, or could you have someone else that's like me, like white guy, don't do anything with channeling, don't care about demons, don't give a fuck, but I'm all about IMC, like, because I don't know how many
the first priority
has
always been to follow the IMC code, which is IMC comes first, then the rest.
Hey,
and
DHV right there. That was DHV.
And then comes the Primal Sutra teaching, because the Primal Sutra teaching is based on the IMC code of ethics.
Which is what?
It's based.
The code of
Well,
ethics.
first, let's look at the IMC weapon. Amor Fati, Memento Mori, the Stoicism, the Zen Buddhism.
Stoicism and the Beast Coat of Arms. Got it. Yeah.
That's how I interpret it.
Oh, yeah.
And it's to understand that you come from a place where you know you're a good human being, so you act like it. To your wake-up times, to this, to that, because the beast creates a good foundation for any spiritual practice that you do, because you do it with the same intent and intensity.
Right.
That being said, at the very least, the newcomers would have to realize that we practice these things, and that sometimes funky shit will happen at the base, where you might hear your name be spoken.
Okay.
That doors will open, things will work, lights will flicker, and I'm
So they
still
can't be
waiting
scared
for
of
an
this shit.
apparition.
That's for sure. They can't be timid about it.
Nah, there's nothing to be scared about. Who gives a shit? Like the weirdest thing that ever happened to me was I woke up.
If someone else comes into your house and the lights start flickering, I mean, transfer that confidence and certainty and security to them.
Yeah, I'll just tell them, like, yeah, there's probably one of the two beings that like to do this. What's up, man? You want a candle?
That's comforting.
Oh
man, it's probably just the Lord of Water that's fucking with you right now. Don't pay him
no,
mind.
the Lord of Water, which could be one of two or three, could be the Makara, could be King Nixa, could be my dad, Varuna. One of these. I call him my father. Yes,
right
I have.
Najib's eating this shit up. He's like, he's these guys are out there.
Call it that.
Little lag. Okay, I hand it back over to Dr. Skriptz. We kind of cut you off. So you were doing all these channelings, hundreds of channelings, and Ryan helped create space so that it was two minds are stronger than one. And then so it sounds like you were doing essentially the same thing as him, and you just kind of joined forces.
Yeah,
In
pretty
some
much.
sense.
Yeah.
Sorry, Ryan, you were cutting out, so I moved over to Skriptz.
That is fine, man. The Wi-Fi here is unstable, so we just roll with it.
Fucking Denmark, right? You know what I'm saying? Fucking Denmark.
No, I think it's the fucking hotel, but it is what it is.
If you're in Denmark, Martin B is in Denmark.
Yeah, but I don't really have time to meet up. I have to focus on business stuff and study and get certified. Right, that's the word.
Yeah, and actually, and I forget and I admire that English is not your first language. So appreciate you keeping it. So
it's fine. I like learning in English anyway. So
yeah, it's very intelligent. I admire that intelligence to be bilingual like that. I'm monolingual.
Have you ever considered Spanish?
Yeah, I did 4 years in high school, but
But you're right, like everybody forgets exactly.
I did it just to pass, and to fill my hours and whatever.
Yeah.
Later, I learned Italian because I went to Italy, and I became conversational right about the time I went home to America. And then I tried to keep it up a little bit, but it wasn't worth it. So it's all behind me. It doesn't matter. Cool. So, all right. So you guys are doing this thing. You talk a lot about IMC, and so what's it like? What's it like where you're at? That's really my main curiosity. What's it like living the IMC process where you guys are? Somewhere in India, somewhere in Europe. What's that like? Do you live alone?
So at the moment, I'm still living with my parents, right? Because I decide when it's steep as hell, which is why I'm going to still in contact with Ricanso, basing out, trying to figure it out. And somewhere around August or after I'm back from the Costa Rica retreat, we'll further discuss financing and just decide to do it.
Yeah.
Because the only thing I need for work is a laptop, Wi-Fi, and I'll be fine.
Yeah.
My parents know about it, etc. The reason I decided to really stay a little bit longer with my parents is understand that the relationship you have with these beings that brought you in this world, if you can improve the relationship with them, you improve the relationship with yourself. That's healing whatever trauma that's still stuck. That's freeing the expression of you.
Yeah, and I think your relationship with them will grow 10x, 100x when you guys base up. Then you'll really be able to treat
for sure.
Like how they should be treated.
Sure.
So yeah, we realized that once we were in person too. We were like, we realized that as we walked into the club, myself and RyanG, and we were kind of accustoming to each other's styles of game.
Oh yeah, we destroyed the first club. Yeah.
It was kind of amazing how we would like bounce ideas off of each other, because Ryan would be more left brain, I would be more right brain, and it's like this hemisphere synchronization that takes place when we both work together, and it's like the same with game, the same with working out, the same with everything else, and it's based on that ethical standpoint too. So yeah, that's how we can like grow with this thing, because we've been putting in the reps in the background.
What does the ethical standpoint mean? What do you mean by that?
Oh, just like the stoicism and the basing of the philosophy and IMC philosophy.
Yeah. Okay,
yeah,
cool. Yeah, for sure. And, that's what'll make that's what'll make it work when you live with each other.
Yeah, I find it surprising. I'm here in Kolkata, India, and out of the billions of Indians on this planet, how I've stuck around on this IMC process and kind of like, gone through the process and gone through the ranks and, done the beast camps over the years. And I've seen incredible change with Yogi Chris. If you go back to our first interview, right, on enlightened masculinity and who I am right now,
that's true.
Man, I can't recognize that guy.
Yeah.
I really can't. So
we're still babies. We've been at it. I'm only 8 years old right now. That's how long I've been in IMC.
Amazing. I like that.
Any questions about the Bali retreat, Yogi Chris?
Bali.
or why
Bali,
you
that's
started,
in the
or
South Pacific, right? Or no, Bali, that's in the Indian Ocean, right? Bali.
yeah, it's right next to
So,
Australia, roughly.
oh, really? Okay, so that's in the South Pacific. So that's like, I think it's a surfer's heaven, from what I'm told.
Oh yeah, for sure,
On my way to
for
Bali.
sure.
So,
Great food. Fuck.
why don't you just live in Bali? That's my question.
Hmm. I have considered it. I could easily just become a how would you call it? Not a desktop warrior. How would you, like a remote worker or something? Yeah, we could do that. Like to rent a stupid sheet there. Like there's a lot of things that would go our way if we could base up there. But there's
Well,
more to be seen.
there is a sex ban right now. So for
Oh
Americans, it
right,
just ended after we
right,
left the island, which was quite funny.
right. That's right. Fuck,
Yeah,
you're
that's like the
right.
most oppressive thing I think I've ever heard in my life.
Right, fuck, you're right. And you can't visit all the temples anymore. It's like I don't
Okay, never
know
mind.
what's happening to that
So
country.
why are you doing a retreat in Bali if they do that?
Well, we did do that before the whole banishment of sex
Oh,
there.
so you're not
The
going back?
reason why we do this, well, at some point, but now we're going to Costa Rica,
There's no
maybe
sex ban.
visit Sedona at some point.
Yeah.
Fucking hell, I hope not. I like Latinas. Shit. Um, the reason why we do these retreats is if you imagine you and the world are similar beings, that means that the earth also has chakra points. Visiting these chakra points, your chakra points, you have access to a higher level of energies that are not readily available, let's say Europe or parts of America. And I personally like to capitalize on that.
So you're saying
Like what
Bali is a
happened
chakra?
with it's pretty close to I was that the which one of the chakras was that? That's good. I forget.
I don't
Any clue?
remember. I'll have to check because it does run through the whole chakra center because it
Yeah.
goes through the entire planet, obviously, but there are different points of the map that have greater spiritual reach in a sense. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Have you guys?
And
Okay, I'll let you finish. Sorry, I had another question.
and the long-term plan is that as we gain popularity, we'll start placing like shaman hut / IMC bases close to these chakra points because it's like being close to a source of magic. I remember being with Dr. Skriptz at Bali, and I felt just this level of energy I haven't felt before. Like it's hard to describe without being there, but it was like I felt like I was home, but in a completely different place. Like, how would you describe it, Scripts? Being there, feeling that level of magic, level of spirituality, this level of cleanness.
Yeah, man. Well, first of all, it was interesting to meet you in person. That's for sure. And then just
That's for
like
sure.
first meeting each other in person when we knew each other as online friends, like for me, Ryan seemed so himself. Like he wasn't different to his like who he was online, and I really respected that.
Yeah.
And understanding like going around the island, I had blonde hair, Ryan was, we all had our avatared up, right? If you guys don't know what that is, to follow along with this process more. However, just going through the island and just, interacting with the island itself, because they saw us as foreigners right there, and they would like say, thank you, hi, and like get us to buy all this stuff. And we had to hold frame and kind of travel around different parts of the island and basically show up and do our thing, get shit done in that venue and wherever we're going.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's interesting to be online comrades and then meet up in person. That's something not very many people. I mean, guys in America, they've come to camps, guys in California, there are even guys, that's how you know how pathetic they are. Because there are guys in California, in Los Angeles, that still haven't met up with other guys in Los Angeles. It's just pathetic. And there you are in Kolkata and you in Netherlands, and you guys meet up in Bali, and it's like, that's and I don't know if you have to go through all that effort to meet up, but I mean, that's the kind of effort that it takes to base up. And the ability to the opportunity and the experience of being in a base is just a cut above everything else that you can do by yourself. It's unreal. The character development, facing your character flaws and your disciplines, the movement together as a group, just the same way. I mean, you don't have to be channeling spirits to feel the presence and the space created when you're living with 3 other alpha males. That it's a space. It's a definite space, and when you leave that space, then you feel confined. And at least I do. I mean, I know that from being in a base and not being in a base, and when I go visit family or whatever. And so that's my piece about that. Right on. I didn't mean to cut in on the flow. Well, anyway, I'll just move on to my next question. Very curious.
Go ahead.
There's a lot of things in the AZD process. For that, you go to the Origins camp. There are guys on this that are live right now that have not done Origins. You haven't even begun. You're still at ground zero. Like, you're negative before you join Midday Gospel. You're just negative because you're literally a liability anywhere we go with you. If you come out with us, or if you go anywhere socially with me, but you're not on Midday Gospel, you're a straight retard. We might as well put one of those helmets on you because you're going to do so many weird things that I'm going to have to Band-Aid just to keep my own social rep wherever I am because you're awkward. Now join Midday Gospel and you're at ground zero. And of course, this is a blanket statement because some people just joined yesterday and some people have been studying Midday Gospel for like 2 years. So they're not all equal, but that Midday Gospel is like the starting point. It's the philosophy, but it's still nothing in person. It's just online philosophy. I'm sure guys understand like Skriptz, RyanG, TXL, these guys that have been studying online a lot, but they're not around people in person so much that it's a different beast translating and I don't mean to use that word again, I'm using it differently. So it's a different endeavor to take the information, it's so intellectual and it's all in the head and whatever, and then translate it into actual practical actions in your life. It's something gets lost in translation. But being around people, being around other IMC guys, where was I going with this point? So there's a lot of things to this process. And that's the next level above Midday Gospel is the Origins camp. So guys that are on this that haven't done Origins, that's where you begin. You haven't even begun. You're still at zero. You're at the starting line and you're like waiting. You're like that dog that's like waiting for you to say, okay, go get it. And it's just like, and it's like trying to go. And it's like, or it's just sitting there, maybe patiently waiting. But here I'm telling you, go. You haven't even gone for Origins. That's where you get the complete process of how to live, your schedule, different disciplines and the mindset around your schedule. That's how you're going to change your life. Change your habits, you change your life. So if you change your daily habits in 30 days, 6 months, 12, you're going to be different. You're just going to be different. And it's forming you into the kind of person that can be a player, that can be a tribal member, that can be a member in a base, and then thrive from there. It's the foundation. It's like pouring the concrete so you can build the skyscraper on it. That's Origins process. And now more advanced than that, not required in the Origins process, which is what I'm about to ask you, is cosmic disclosure. Do you have access to that, or have you looked into it? And what is your opinion on cosmic disclosure? It's almost a required study in IMC. Not quite. We can't really require things. We don't require anything. But if you want to get this tech, then you would study it. So I'm curious about your experiences.
So this is my opinion, which differs from Dr. Skriptz on this. One, any literature that you can get your hands on, get it, read it, embrace it, fucking apply it. That includes the cosmic disclosure, anything related to that. Dare I be so bold to say that we have free lectures every Monday that are very similar to what cosmic disclosure gives. So we do our own version of that every Monday. So that's what I have to say about that. Any motherfucking thing that improves the process, makes the process more efficient, more effective, builds you as a beast, an esoteric being, a being of higher value, do it. Anything else you would like to add?
I think there's 21 seasons of cosmic disclosure. Have you seen any of them?
No, just clips on YouTube that I managed to find.
Oh man! Do you have access to TV?
I personally am on season I think 17 or something like that. But I've watched on and off. Yeah, and when AZD said it, I was actually already watching the show. So
There you go.
Yeah, right on.
like, yeah,
Me too,
so I
because
was
I'm the
already
one who recommended it to him.
Okay, yeah.
Mm.
It was some episode in season 17 or 18 that I just I randomly, I think my girl was hanging out with me and I was just like scrolling through things like for something interesting. And I saw this one, I clicked it, whatever. And it's interesting because I like never do that. And like I always know what I'm going to watch. I hate browsing for shit. And so I clicked it and he was talking about language and how language distorts our perception. And, there's a whole installation on Earth where we're not seeing things clearly because we have this language that's distorting our perceptions or whatever. And it was just like AZD's messengers training. So I sent it to him. I was like, dude, this guy is saying exactly, I think I might have recorded a clip or something. So then he saw the episode. Then he went back to season 1, episode 1 and was like, this is great. You guys got to watch it. And that's where it started. So I'm personally on season 18 and, just drudging along, almost done with 18. So that's cool, man. Because I feel like I share such an experience with Skriptz because we've both watched 17 seasons of that shit. And it's just mind blowing. And yeah. So anyway, I don't know why I really brought that up, actually.
If you like things like that, I would also recommend the book Law of One.
That's a book?
Yeah, definitely get it. Definitely get it.
The Law of One.
The Law of One.
All right, so that's from PRIMAL.
Gives over. We have a lot, but whether you're ready, whether the viewers are ready, that's a different story. However, I would start with Law of One. Right that on. Is one of the fundamental books within Primal Sutra where we go over how health and chakra health are intertwined and how beings can be summoned through them.
Through your chakras, you're saying?
Yes. One thing we managed to figure out is imagine if your chakras were Pokeballs and every Pokeball has an assigned deity. And it can be from whatever pantheon you happen to be connected with, from Greek, Roman, Indian, who cares? For some reason, I'm also connected to the Egyptian pantheon. It's something I found out recently. I'm connected to Osiris, who's basically the god of gods, the god of the Dua, the god of the underworld. And he's trying to teach me infinite wisdom.
Wow. Right on. I honestly, I don't have too much to ask about the spirituality stuff because it's just so out of my reality. Although I've listened to maybe 30 or 40 Frank White lectures. I think we have a hand up from Callie Pack. You have a question or is that a hand up?
Go ahead, man.
Callie, yeah, I do. I want to know about the show that you were talking about, Yogi Chris. Like, what are you learning out of that show? Because I tried watching it, but all the alien talk and all this stuff, it kind of got boring for me. But what is it that I'm trying to get out of that show?
Well, I'm going to hand it over to Skriptz in 10 seconds. The first thing I'll say is that there are definitely some episodes that are boring. And I don't know, for me, season 4 and 5 were hella boring. Some later, there are some things that to me were very boring. And I went through it because there was still information there. I'm a PhD in engineering. So I'm used to being boring, but just get through it because there is information, there's data there that is helpful. And then I'll add my piece about its utility after Skriptz, because I'm sure Skriptz has a language for it.
Yeah, so I would definitely say I use that doctrine from Bruce Lee to absorb what is useful, discard what is useless, and add what is uniquely your own. And the same goes with cosmic disclosure. It's like you go through the episodes and each kind of stacks on top of the next piece of datum that you're actually looking for. So let's say that you are trying to learn more about this and maybe you have a curiosity about aliens. I would actually have you write it down and then reflect on it later, because sometimes it's like episode 13 or something might give you another perspective that you wouldn't have considered if you hadn't even skipped past it, skimmed past some datum that could have, almost locked onto your previous knowledge or your previous understanding of that. So that's what I would definitely say. It's just, you got to keep going, man. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So what I'd say about it is, one, there's a lot of things, and this is like, now this episode is becoming a pitch for cosmic disclosure. But if you want to do what AZD does and what we're all learning to do in communication, relationships, and mindset, and so on, cosmic disclosure is an ingredient. It's not part of the origins process. There's many things that actually come before it, which you need to do the origins. But you can also, cosmic disclosure is, open to you to do, just like any other references he gives. And why I think it's essential is a few reasons. First, I'd like to say that cosmic disclosure focuses almost exclusively on extraterrestrials, but they say many times throughout the show, in the early parts of the show, that the reason they do that is because they cannot talk about free energy, and they cannot talk about cures for cancer and diseases, or they'll be killed. Because there's big money in the cures for cancers and in the free energy, but in petroleum industry, they can't do it. They've tried, and they get hits put on them. They get death attempts, death threats, families get in jeopardy. And so they say in the beginning, we have all this other stuff to talk about, but we're only going to talk about ETs because there's no money in that. Nobody's going to kill us if we talk about ET stuff, because one, they don't believe us, and two, there's just no money in it. But there's money in cures for diseases and the free energy. So it may seem like it's totally focused on ET, but it's really a disclosure of deep shadow government and the collaboration between huge international corporate conglomerates and whatever, and how they work with government. Although we wouldn't know, we think there's the separation, but there's not. And then it just starts revealing so many things about the veil, the installation, what they call later, the installation. We have an installation in our head where we think aliens aren't real, there's not spaceships above us, that there's not underground bases, that the earth is solid, there's not pockets of ecosystems in the crust, that, like they were talking about, my guests were talking about the chakras, and what in cosmic disclosure they call ley lines. And so there's ley lines throughout the planet that makes interdimensional or time portals and things possible, because the earth is a huge system, and there's all this magnetism and everything. And so there's a lot of force in the earth that we're just little bacteria on top of it. And so it explains things like the pyramids and so many things, that it makes your human experience much smaller and bigger at the same time, because when you free up from the smallness of it, then you can experience the bigness of it. But until then, you're just kind of going about your day to day, mundane living, trying to make money and fuck bitches. And it's like, bro, you're in the agenda. You're in the matrix. It's literally like the rabbit hole for the matrix, like going down. It's like one thing after another. And you start seeing that, the history that you've convinced yourself, or that was taught to you, or the technologies that you think are available, like you're literally being kept suppressed. You're kept in a stone age relative to the technology they have. And that alone kind of lets you let go of that you're chasing money to buy the new iPhone. Fuck the new iPhone. They have technology so far beyond the iPhone. It's like you're just being herded into being a consumer. And that whole idea is integral in AZD's strategy of life and game. It doesn't have so much to do with ET, but it has a lot to do with, see the smallness of your life, surrender to the bigger story of things. Don't get so wrapped up in the trivia of your current time era. You would be born with different trivia if you were born 200 years ago or 200 years in the future. You'd have all these different facts that you'd have to memorize. But none of that's all just it solidifying your place in time. You don't have to be like that. And you could be more fluid. And that is very important to AZD's game. The fluidity, and not holding so solid to, your upbringing and the history that you think is planet Earth. And so, it's 100 or 200 hours of interviews on cosmic disclosure, and it just kind of frees you up. But if you're so bored you don't want to do it, then don't do it. Like I said, you haven't done Origins yet, so Origins is going to be, huge. All of these things, all of these ingredients, we tell them because, they're essential. And a lot of people won't do them. A lot of people are looking for a quicker fix. They see AZD and they're like, maybe they get 2 girls at some point in their life and they think, oh, I'm almost as good as AZD. You're not even close. When I started with AZD, I was also learning from Vince Kelvin, and I manifested 2 girlfriends and threesomes and whatever. And it wasn't that fulfilling, but it was cool. It was a chip on my shoulder. Like, yeah. And it was like probably after 6 or 8 months of studying this shit. And I thought I was making headways. Man, it's not the same. The way you're running your relationship, I'm still growing. I'm not worse now. I'm better than I was. And So all these things that, are sold as packages or trainings or whatever are essential ingredients. You're caught in the matrix as a normal person from wherever your background is, and you want to ascend through consciousness, be free in your behavior and expression, hold to the beast character, alpha male, masculinity, not even hold to it, just let go of the bullshit that distracts you from it and be like Ryan was saying, like just be that primal. That's what you are. You are alpha. You've learned not to be. And there's a lot of things you got to let go of, and Cosmic Disclosure will help you do that. Now, all the guys interviewed on Cosmic Disclosure are beta as fuck, except for Navy SEAL Team 6 guy. That guy in season 13 was alpha. Navy SEAL Team 6. That's how you know it's legit. When Navy SEAL Team 6 guy comes out and he's talking about all these off-planet missions and things, and you're like, dude, you're in the Navy SEALs. Like, aren't all of your comrades going to laugh at you when you say this shit? And he was like, well, actually, a lot of them have experienced it. They don't want to come out. He was like, when you get pushed to the brink of death in all of our buds training and everything, you start remembering things that are not related to your life right now. So that was pretty cool, because my dad was an Army Ranger. So it makes me think sometimes, I wonder if he's seen high technologies and he's just never talked about it. I don't know, but maybe not. It's not like every Army Ranger or Navy SEAL is privy to this stuff. It's probably still a minority. So that's my take on Cosmic Disclosure, pitching Cosmic Disclosure. Wrapping it up now, I'll give my guests any final words, anything you'd like to share about, your groups, your TV show, what's coming up for you, or, just anything at all.
All right.
You're welcome.
So every Wednesday night, noon PST, we have SSS, Savage Shaman Seminars. Every Monday, noon TST, we have our free channeling healing sessions. If you don't show up, you lose out. And hell, if you're curious about a Costa Rica event, let us know.
And that would all be on your Instagram, Primal Sutras?
You could reach us on Telegram, Instagram, Facebook. If you happen to have my number, WhatsApp.
Right on. We'll put the link in the description. So what's the best link to put in the description to get a hold of you guys?
What would you say, Sumit? Would that be
I would say just go to
IG?
primalsutra.com or primalsutragroup.com.
Yeah,
That's our
got a website.
Oh,
Yeah.
Hey.
Oh, so shout out to Zay for the website too.
Yeah.
Right, that's true.
Fire. Yeah.
Right on. Okay, cool. Any other last words or any other questions for them?
No, well, I would just say that, this whole thing started around the concept of flow, and, AZD always talked about tapping in, and that's I received that kind of, I guess you could say, title, even though I don't care much for titles, but to me, that meant a lot, that he saw my potential in that flow state breakdown that I did a long time ago. And I really appreciate the fact that we can use our own lenses and our own experiences and get something completely different out of IMC tech. It's like a symbiote, like we've always said. And, if you guys are really curious about this is going to absolutely transform your life, because I am not the same person that I was. You guys can clearly see it. And for any man listening, tap the fuck in.
That's what it is.
Right on. Thank you guys for making the time in your schedule. And, at this odd hour, I really appreciate it. And everybody check out their show on IMC TV, and all the links will be in the description for, people that catch the recording. To everybody else, hope to see you in the upcoming trainings. We have the private party. Cali Pack, you're qualified for that. If you want to come on June 24th, it's going to be unreal. And, there's a lot of video content being put out there. So TK, shout out TK for heading the podcast apprentices and, getting this show out there for the world. So that's thanks to TK and Officer Jeremiah, who are on staff, and everybody else in the live audience. It's always great having live audience. So, and those who had their camera on, double appreciation for you.